Hey, good morning. What's up, guys? Paul Farmer here. This is Freedom Project Live, episode 116. And I wasn't able to get a thumbnail up today because my software that I use is down at the moment online. So instead of waiting around for that to get fixed, just hop on and get this going. Okay. So welcome, Freedom Project Live. This is where I share with you my online journey, share with you marketing tips, share with you mindset tips, and pretty much anything else I want to share. Okay. The whole point of this is to give you an idea of what to do when it comes to making extra income or even lifestyle changing income online, expand your mind, help you step into your full potential. And what does that even mean? Our full potential, nobody even knows because it's infinite. It's infinite. So if you've been paying attention, I've been really diving deep into Think and Grow Rich. You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. Over the weekend, I attended. Well, I didn't go actually physically to the event, but I did watch the live stream of the Paradigm Shift event, and I am actually going back and I'm watching the recordings now. Something I'm going to be doing for the next 14 days because that's how long I have the recordings for. But I'm going to be doing that as well. So I thought I would share just a few more things about what I have taken away, some of the takeaways I have gotten from this event. First of all, it's very powerful. I plan to do it again when it comes around again, possibly attend or just get the live stream again. One of the things I have learned is by repetition, that is how things really change in our lives, through repetition. Because when you're listening to something, you're not really hearing. You're listening, but you're not really hearing, right? You're listening, but you're not really hearing, because what happens is you'll be listening to something and then an idea will pop in your head and you're off at that idea for a while. Then you'll come back down and you'll start listening again. And then another idea will pop in your head and you'll go back up to that idea. And all the time, what's playing is playing, but you're not really hearing it. And then back down again and so forth. So every single time you listen to something, you're going to hear something different. You're going to process something different because you're always having these different ideas pop in your head. So that's something I learned, and that's something I've been actually implementing because, so like last year, and I've shared this, last year, I was listening to Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone said, top CEOs read like 52 to 60 books a year. Okay, top CEOs, the average person doesn't even read one. So last year, my whole focus was I wanted to do that. I wanted to read 52 books in a year, and I did. I didn't technically read them. I listened to them. Now, this year, I heard Grant Cardone say something different. And he's like, hey, it's not that you need to read 60 different books, but read one book 60 times. And I was like, wow, now that's powerful, because you always hear something different. You're diving deep into one thing. And one of the things I realized when I was reading 52 books or listening was a lot of the concepts are the same concepts. A lot of the concepts actually stem from Think and Grow Rich, which is really interesting. So many people have been influenced by this book, and a lot of the personal development style books have the same principles as Think and Grow Rich. So I'm like, why not go back to that, right? So a couple things I took away. I mean, I took a lot of things away from this event, but a couple things that stood out to me. So I've been writing my goals. One of the things Grant Cardone says, write your goals. He writes them down twice a day, in the morning and at night. I've been focused on writing once a day. Well, one of the things I heard at this event was one of the coaches, he says he writes his goals down 50 times in a day, 50 times. So he sits down, grabs his pen, and he writes out his goal 50 times. Well, Bob Proctor said he's the best student he's ever had. That's saying a lot. He's had a lot of students, but he's the best student he's ever had because he does everything Bob Proctor tells him to do. So he writes his goal down 50 times. And the reason he does that is because he wants to get it in his subconscious. He's like, I hate doing it. It's not what I like doing, but I know it works, so I do it. So that's one takeaway I had. Write your goal down 50 times, in the morning. Sit down, write it down, or whenever you have time. That's one thing I heard. Another thing I heard that stood out to me was if you lack persistence. Okay. So if you lack persistence, now for me, persistence is kind of ingrained in me. Like it's kind of like, I was asked on an interview, what's your superpower? And I said persistence. I know it's kind of a boring thing to say, but it is. That's what it is. I am very persistent. Like I keep going no matter what comes my way. I just keep going. It wasn't always like that. I used to be a quitter. I used to quit at everything. I used to like start something and stop it, start it, stop it, start it, stop it. And I realized that wasn't getting me anywhere. So I decided to change it. I decided, what's going to happen if I don't quit? I'm in the midst of it. I'm still going, like I've had some downs, I've had ups, but I keep going because I haven't hit my destination. I don't think I'll ever hit my destination, but I do have goals in mind that I want to hit. So anyway, write down your goals 50 times a day. Now I know so Bob Proctor says there's only 3% that actually make it in this life. They actually make it. They actually do something substantial. They're actually living life the way they want to live life. Only 3%. The rest aren't. The rest aren't. So I definitely want to be part of that 3% and not the rest, right? The 97% that are not. So write down your goals. So I'm doing that. That's a practice I started. And then the other thing was read. Now I read this in the book, You Were Born Rich. And if you want a copy of that, just let me know. It's free. Or go to Bob Proctor's site. It's free. You can get it for free. There's no excuse. It is free. You want to change your life, the information is there. So just go start doing it. But the next thing is, so if you lack persistence, now I've worked with thousands of people, I would say, over the years, at least connected with them, at least in some capacity. And one of the things I have noticed is people lack persistence badly. Like there's no persistence. Like the first thing that comes up, they're gone. They're done. But it's the people that are very successful that have persistence. That's the trait they have. They have persistence. They have the never die attitude. They just keep going no matter what. So if you lack persistence, what was recommended? And actually, in the book, You Were Born Rich, he said to read this chapter 100 times. But at this event, they said that you should read the persistence chapter in Think and Grow Rich 60 times. So 60 days in a row if you lack persistence. And by the time you finish that process, you're going to understand what persistence is. And most definitely, you will establish persistence. So those are pretty much my takeaways today. Did I say, I made a mistake too. So like in previous videos, I said mindset was 80%, skill set was 20%. I was wrong. It's actually 95% is mindset, 5% skill set, 95%. And like I said yesterday, it's because your thoughts become actions, which become habits. But not only that, it's who you're going to attract. It's who you're going to attract to you. It's what opportunities you're going to attract. You can believe this, not believe it. I don't really care. I'm just letting you know, like this is the stuff that literally people have tapped into and making millions and millions of dollars. They're changing lives. They're influencing people because they tapped into this information. And if you don't like where you're at, if you don't like the results you're getting, you may consider, and again, it's free. Think and Grow Rich is available out there. You Were Born Rich is a free PDF that you can get. So it's not a monetary thing. It's just a decision that you have to make that, yeah, I do want more in my life. I am going to put in the work because it's not just going to happen overnight. I am going to put in the work and I am going to make it happen. So like one of the things with paradigms. So I just went through this thing, paradigm shift, right? And a paradigm is basically a program that's been placed in us since really childhood. It comes from our parents, from our teachers, from our employers. It's these ideas that we have, and we fall back on these ideas. These ideas are why we are where we are. These ideas are why we think. And if we don't change that, if we keep getting the same results and we don't change that, and the only way to change it, there's two ways. And I mentioned this yesterday. There's two ways. One is with spaced repetition. Actually, let me read it out loud so I get it exactly right. Okay. Let me read it out loud so I get it exactly right. Let's see here. I got it here. So I took a lot of notes yesterday. Two ways to change paradigm. So constant spaced repetition of ideas that are essentially opposite to the paradigm. So you got to start thinking completely different than you're thinking now. And it's not an easy thing to do. It doesn't happen overnight. It only happens with spaced repetition of new ideas. You got to build a whole new model. And then the other thing is, so the other way, and this is not how you want to do it, is a personal experience of emotional impact. So that means like there's a tragedy, someone dies, something bad happens, something to really, it really is just going to shock your system. It's going to shock your system, and you're going to realize like, I need to change. I need to wake up. I need to do something differently. So that's really what I have for today. This is powerful stuff. I know my wife wants to get on here and share her ideas with you. I got her going through it as well. And she said she wants to get on. So we'll see if she gets on soon. I don't know. But I think that would be fun. That would definitely be fun. But that's what it is, guys. And when I first started, I started 2012. The very last thing I ever wanted to hear was mindset. I was like, oh, you need to work on your mindset. That was always the answer. And I was like, yeah, whatever. What are the nuts and bolts? Tell me what the nuts and bolts are. I'm going to go out and kill it. Just give me the nuts and bolts. And the thing is, your thoughts create everything. So you're not going to get there by working harder. You're not going to get there by, any of that. So taking more actions, you're not going to get there, because if your thoughts are all backwards, you're just not, it's not going to happen. You're not going to attract the right people. Like, for example, I can tell within seconds where people are, what frequency they're on, like what level of energy they are on. I can tell instantly by their language, by their posture, by just how they act, by just looking at their Facebook wall. I can tell where they're at. And it's really interesting being able to see that. And I can also tell where people are if they're on a higher frequency. And that's what you really want to attract, is a higher frequency. The way you get into a higher frequency is through gratitude. And one of the things they got, I'm going on a little bit longer now. One of the things they got at the event is they gave out this booklet, has 365 days. And one of the things he says, like, so our conscious mind has with our conscious mind, we have the ability to become aware. So if we're going down the side of like negativity, depression, anxiety, that kind of thing, or if we're going through abundance, right? We can become aware by shifting our thoughts with gratitude. So you shift from the bad to the good with gratitude. Gratitude will change your state completely. So what they recommend is you write down 10 things you're grateful for. Any single time you start feeling like bad, depressed, upset, you can shift it back over to the side you need to be on through gratitude, through just being, writing down what you're grateful for, thinking about what you're grateful for, saying out loud what you're grateful for. And if you're having a hard time doing this, if you can't come up with 10 things you're grateful for, then you're really, really on the other side. Your energy is very low. Okay. So you really want to work on that to get over to the other side. And it's a work in progress. Believe me, it's a work in progress. I was a very negative person. Like, I didn't believe anything good was ever going to come. I thought it was just, hey, you know what? All the bad stuff happens to me. That's it. So it's a process. It takes time to change, but I'm already seeing stuff happen. So anyway, I hope you got value. I hope and trust you got value today. If you'd like to learn how to make some extra income, or you just want to get more of this information, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. But if you want to make some extra income, click the green check mark below. That is actually how I've been able to create a full-time income from the comfort of my home online. I provide all kinds of training. I have a VIP group that I place you in once you get started that gives you a blueprint of exactly what to do. So if you really want to create extra income, even full-time income, you can go out and do it. All the information is there. Not to mention the program itself has training as well. Very powerful training. It's actually the training I tapped into. It's actually how I learned to do what I do. So there you go. Okay, so thank you. Appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one.